And welcome to the Libra new moon, right? So this is the new moon that happens for us in the Northern Hemisphere in the fall. It's always the Libra new moon in the fall, and that's where we're at. And so a lot of doing these classes, doing ceremony around the new moon or anything that's going on in the earth is all about like connecting us into the energies that are present right now, right? So it's fall, the leaves are falling. Lots of the plants are, kind of dying, going into their winter dormancy period. The earth is moving towards that quiet, dark time. And that's part of what this Libra new moon signifies for us. So if you don't know me, I'm Sheridan Semple, and I'm a shamanic astrologer and spiritual aromatherapist. And I am excited to have you all here today, or if you're here watching later. And we're going to learn about the new moon today. We'll learn about Libra, we'll learn about Rhododendron and Hyssop and how those two essences support the Libra energy. And then we'll finish with our new moon intention setting ceremony. So, and then after that, I'll talk about, what the heck is going on astrologically, which there is a lot today. So we have a lot to cover. So let's just get started. And as we begin the class, let's just kind of open the space between us and start to drop in. If you have rhododendron or hyssop or both, or any essential oils or no essential oils, it's all just fine. We're just going to start. If you do have some, you can anoint yourself. And if not, just start to kind of drop into your body and just feeling where you're sitting. And just feel the places where you're connecting into the earth, right? It might be your feet, might be your bottom, might be your whole legs. Just feel where your body starts to make that contact with the earth. And feel into your heart. Breathing into your heart. Libra is such a heart sign, focused on relationships and connections to others. So just start to feel and breathe into your heart. And just feel your heart reach down and connect to the heart of the earth. And just breathe into that connection from your heart, where your lungs are, where you're breathing, into the heart of the earth, wherever you might feel that to be. Just let the magnetism, the weight, gravity, just pull you down into the earth. And feeling its fall in the earth and what's happening. What's the earth doing around you? How is it changing? And then now bring your attention up to wherever the sun is in the sky. And know that the moon is right there with the sun today. That's what the new moon is when the sun and the moon are conjunct, right together. So we can't see the moon. The moon is in the underworld, hidden by the sun's light. And again, from your heart, just connect into that sun and moon and the heart of the sun and the moon together. And whatever that feels like or means for you. And just breathe into that connection as well, from your heart and your lungs. And just notice with this awareness all the way into the earth, through your heart, all the way to the sun and the moon, just helps you orient, it helps to orient you to where you are in the space of the cosmos and the earth. And just feel into that Libra energy where the sun and the moon are right now. It's that fall energy. We've passed the fall equinox, which is the start of Libra. And we're moving towards Samhain, the Halloween cross-quarter time. Moving towards the dark days of the winter. And then taking another deep breath. You can open your eyes when you're ready. Okay, hi Sylvia. I am going to share my screen and we'll look at the slides for our class today. So I always like to start with this reminder of what the new moon is, right? We just connected with that in our meditation, but it's that time when the moon is right with the sun, which you can see in this picture. And if you've been coming to this class for a little bit, I'm going to add some extra in today. So once the moon starts to move towards the full moon, right? Moving counterclockwise through our diagram here, up towards the first quarter and then over to the full moon when the moon is on the other side of us and is getting the full light of the sun, right? As it happens, it fills from the right to the left. See that? Fills from the right to the left until it's full. And then it empties from the right to the left as well. So the crescent moon after the new moon, the tips, the horns point towards the east. And then in the last crescent moon, oh, my little cursor, before the new moon, the horns point towards the west, right? So away from the sun towards the full moon, and then away from the full moon towards the sun again. So you can always kind of orient yourself, even if you're not in the moment paying attention to where the moon is, by that crescent moon and how it's filling and how it's emptying. So that's my little astrological moon tidbit for you today. Okay, so then I want to look at the chart for today. Okay, so we have, let's see here, my animations I'm so proud of. The moon and the sun are together, right? So here they are at 23 Libra. That's what this little sign is, okay? So that's what it looks like on the chart. And it happened at 1:31 Mountain Time. So it's kind of near the top of the chart, right? Where the sun is kind of reaching the highest point. It's past it. This is actually the highest point. It's past it a little bit because it was at 1:30 today. And then soon, later tonight, the moon's actually going to move over into Scorpio. So we're in this time when we're doing the new moon, is like right as it's just about to change signs. So is there anything else I want to say about that? I'm going to look at my little notes. The last thing I'll say is that, you know, we set intentions at the new moon because it's like the womb time of the moon cycle, right? So the moon cycle goes from new moon to new moon. And that's when we want to plant the seeds and like that darkness of the moon, as well as the like the darkness of the earth, right? It's the time many ancient people saw that the day actually started at sunset, right? Where we look at it as midnight or maybe at dawn, right? But they started, the new day started with the dark part, the place you planted the seeds, the newness, the womb, the place that we're birthed from. Okay. So Libra, special Libra, fall Libra. Okay, so Libra is an air sign, meaning it's about the mental or the consciousness realm of things. That's what air is all about. It's an in service to the culture community sign. So all of the solstices and the equinoxes happen at the four in service to culture community signs. So zero, when the sun reaches 0 degrees Libra, that's the fall equinox day. It's a left brain sign because it's that more kind of, I mean, not that the right brain's not mental, but it's that left brain type of more linear type of energy. And it's a masculine and energetic sign, not meaning male, not gender, but just masculine. And it's an evolution sign. So it's about kind of moving up towards that consciousness, towards spirit, towards the sky type of energy. It's the relationship and partnership focused sign, more so than any other sign. It's really the most personal sign as well. So some signs like Virgo, we did last time, is very impersonal, right? Virgo is the priestess who probably lives in the temple outside of the town, right? Not with the people. Libra is the opposite. It's all about personal relationship, and that's its like number one priority because it learns about itself through relationships. Okay, that's what it's always focused on. Sorry, I have to move the thing because it's blocking the words. So it's really all about finding equal conscious partnerships, right? That it wants to feel itself really accurately reflected through equal conscious partnerships, right? Of how Libra knows itself is through the other, right? That experience, that self-discovery comes through interaction with other people. Ultimately, it wants to find an equal conscious reflection where it can really know itself, not feel bad about itself because the other is like unconscious in how it's reflecting, if that makes sense. So it's all about healthy, collaborative relationships, balancing that personal truth with the consensus reality. That's something that Libra is always trying to figure out, right? It's represented by the scales. It's trying to balance things between who it is, what it knows, its own truth with that greater relationship, other focused truth and reality. So it can be the peacemaker, the diplomat, the negotiator, right? It can have that as its positive traits as well as like the shadow side of things. It's very socially oriented, personal, like I said before, and its spiritual path is through that relationship and partnership, right? Where it sees itself in the mirror reflection of the other people that it's with and around. And that is how it finds its boundaries and where it is in space and who it is. And Libra asks the question, what is the nature of partnership and relationship? What is the nature of healthy pair bonds, right? Coming together. Its spiritual path is the focus on personal relationships with other human beings and to have the experience of being loved just for you, right? That's really important to Libra. And so it may be, if your moon is in Libra, this could be your area of expertise, right? The things that you already know a lot about. But if your rising sign is Libra, or maybe like your Venus or your Mars sign is Libra, then this is what you're learning about and trying to step into and become. So it can be really different how Libra will play out for each of us in our charts. But regardless, even if you don't have Libra on your chart, right now we're in the time when the sun is in Libra, and now today the new moon is in Libra. So we're all swimming in that, or flying in that air Libra energy, right? That energy of fall and that fall equinox time. So here is the Libra goddess invocation. O radiant and shining goddess of the relational realms, inspired by your brilliant, harmonious love light, guiding us in understanding who we really are through our interaction with others. Help us to discover the gifts that are part of any healthy, collaborative relationship. Help us to know and personally experience the gifts of cooperating with each other in co-creating a happy, healthy, and harmonious world. Bless us with your guidance and wisdom in transforming whatever limiting beliefs remain around the challenges of hierarchical relating. So even if we are in roles of either teaching or being taught, of guiding or being guided, of helping or being helped, of inspiring or being inspired, we know our value is never more or less than anyone else. Help us to see that every relationship we encounter, no matter how brief or challenging, is a mirror reflecting what is within us. Help us to know and experience the magic of seeing who we are through the eyes of another, so that we live in relational peace and balance from the inside out. And that comes from Kaylin Castell and Tammy Brunk at the Venus Alchemy. Okay, so as we dive into the essential oils part, here we are, right? So anointing with the consecrated essential oils is a tool that each of us can offer to ourselves and to our loved ones as a path of remembrance to the truth of who we really are, that of divine creatures. Anytime we seek to remember the truth of who we really are, anointing with essential oils will support our intention in finding spirit in the body. Anointing, whether a simple ceremony or the more complex ceremonies of the Egyptian priestesses, will assist in the sacred declaration and consecration of ourselves as holy vessels or temples of the divine. And that comes from Alison Stillman from The Sacred Art of Anointing. So anointing using essential oils or any kind of like plant medicine, right? Ceremonially with intention helps to create that sacred space and help us to find the divine, right? Find spirit within ourselves, within our bodies. So on that note, we are going to learn about rhododendron first, okay? So rhododendron is an essential oil that's relatively unknown in the US. You may be familiar with it, but a lot of essential oil people aren't familiar with rhododendron. And it's very famous in Asia, which is where it comes from. So it's an evergreen shrub, and it grows to about 2 feet tall. It's native to Asia, like in the Himalayas, right? That's where this specific type of rhododendron comes from. And it's this like sweet, kind of subtle, very flowery scent. The one I have comes from, it's steam distilled from the flowers and the leaves, like you see here in the picture. And the one I have is from Nepal. Rhododendron. Okay, the spiritual and emotional uses. It's been revered in Buddhism and Tibet. And they made a sacred incense with ghee with the flowers, right? That they would burn in the temples in the ceremony. It's calming for meditation and chanting. It helps you make spiritual connections, right? It aids you to finding your spiritual family. That's a big part of why I think it's so supportive to Libra, because it helps you find those conscious, equal partnerships, right? Your people that you can really see and know yourself through. It opens the mind and the heart to a positive flow of energy. The heart space is very much what Libra is about. It's grounding, centering, calming. It aids in mental and emotional pain, which is another reason I like it for Libra, because We live in a time, or at least here in the United States, we're so focused on like independence and we don't need anyone, right? We're just so strong in and of ourselves. We don't always give Libra its like due reverence, right? Because it's about learning about itself through the other. So sometimes I find a lot that people with Libra really prominent on their chart, they can have a lot of emotional pain, either through the unconscious, unequal partnerships, but as well as through like feeling it's not okay for them to need other people as much to know who they are, right? We live in a time when that kind of gets shamed in some ways. So I think that rhododendron is really helpful for people that are learning or on a very Libra journey in this life. Rhododendron also supports focus and vision. It aids depression and grief, stress. It's amazing for the heart chakra, heart opening, heart balancing. All flower essences are. It helps with creativity, which is a big part of what this time of the season is as we move towards Samhain and the dark time of the dark goddess energy. That's all about creativity. And it reconnects us to our inner joy, right? The place where we do know ourselves, which is a lot what Libra is learning as well. The physical uses are, it's really good for the heart, for the lungs, because it comes from the leaves as well. So all leaf essences are good for the lungs and respiratory system because they're the breathing part of the plant. So they help us with our breathing as well. It's helpful for the lymphatic system, the circulatory system, for detoxification, liver and kidney stimulation, adrenals. It's energizing, and Himalayan healers have used this to make a tea for digestion, appetite, sore throats, and liver disorders, right? Needing to like cleanse. Okay, hyssop, right? So hyssop is a shrub as well with these purple flowers all over it. It grows to about 2 feet tall as well. It's native to Southern Europe and the Middle East. And this one is steam distilled from the flowering tops. And the one I have comes from France. So it's very flowery smelling. Much stronger smelling than rhododendron, okay? And its uses are, so it's spiritual and emotional uses. It's deeply spiritual. So this is a plant that has a long history, just really like rhododendron does, but in a different area. So it's mentioned in the Torah and the Old Testament. It's used ritually since ancient times to purify the temple, for forgiveness of sins. Hyssop is an amazing essence for self-forgiveness and trust. Again, things that I think people in this day and age with a lot of Libra can really wrestle with these types of things. So it's good for emotional cleansing. Like if you're in angst or have anger, grief, shame, hyssop is your friend. It helps us in finding our spiritual purpose. Just like rhododendron, it's really good for the heart chakra, for heart opening or balancing, right? Sometimes people with Libra, maybe their heart may be so open and they need to like balance it and kind of find some of their boundaries in space. So whichever way you need to go, hyssop supports that. Same with rhododendron. Helps with mood swings, depression. Here's a quote from Cynthia Oliveira that is, hyssop helps us to go into the core of our issues, to see them, feel them, purge and cleanse them with loving forgiveness. It helps with protection for our boundaries. So it's great for empaths, supports those that are easily affected by others and absorb tension in the environment, right? Very Libra issues as well. And it's spiritually cleansing. The physical uses are, it's antiviral. So Romans used it for the plague and to disinfect the houses of people who were sick. It's used for blood pressure, balancing, adrenals, expectorant, asthma, bronchitis, herpes 1 and 2, hepatitis A, B, and C, the immune system. It's a liver stimulant and cleanser, just like rhododendron, and it's heart balancing. Okay, let's do our new moon ceremony. So I always say this, but I will say it again. I think it's great for this moon cycle. It's just 1 month long to set one intention, have one seed that you want to plant that you can focus on for this month, as opposed to a bunch of things that's like too long of a list and too much, but like one thing that you kind of post or put somewhere that can kind of stay in your mind and you focus on for this month. So as we start to move into setting our intention, here's my prayer, here's our prayer to the new moon. Within the darkness of the new moon, I am held in the womb of creation and transformation. I consciously plant my seed of intention to grow over this emerging moon cycle that supports me in expressing my truest self. I invite my soul, my guides, and spirit to help me in creating an intention that supports my highest expression. Honoring my ancestral roots, I connect consciously to the moon with my deepest, purest self. I honor the dark of the new moon as the time to end and begin another cycle, increasing my connection to the natural world around me. Okay, I'm going to stop my share here. And let's start to set our intentions. So you can take a piece of paper and write it on that, or if you just have it in your mind, however you want to do it, but some way that there's something that you can kind of keep an awareness of it, right? So you'll have it for the month, you can look back on it at the next new moon, that type of thing. So I like to write it down. So we'll just take a couple minutes in silence and settle into what is your one intention for this new moon cycle, this Libra new moon, which it could be Libra focus, it doesn't have to be, but this fall time. And then I don't want anyone to feel rushed, so you can continue writing, but what we'll do next is, you can do this any way that feels right to you, but I like, because Libra's an air sign, I have my smudge stick and lighting it, or lighting some incense or even a candle, and then speaking your intention into the smoke or into the candle and then blowing it out, so that you see the smoke lifting your intention up to the new moon, to spirit, to God, the universe, whatever works for you. If you don't have an incense or smudge stick, or you don't want to do that, you can just speak it into the air and just let it be lifted as your prayer. So I will mute myself, and then we can all do our ceremony of our intention. I'll give everyone another minute or so. It's nice to see the smoke moving through people's screens. And then I'll share my screen again. And we will look at what is going on astrologically right now. So if you're still continuing with your ceremony, you can just kind of keep walking through that as we move into this piece. So, okay, so here we are. We saw that the moon and the sun are together, and we know that because that's a new moon. But you can see they are right opposite Mars here in Aries, right? So there's, you know, we were talking at the very beginning about kind of feeling the intensity of the energy going on, right? This is all happening today. Okay, so the moon and the sun, so that's like this bringing together of these two big energies opposite Mars, lighting up, right, activating this Mars and Aries energy, which is Mars just started its new 2-year cycle just on the 13th, so 3 days ago. Okay, so when the moon and Mars, when the sun and Mars become exactly opposite, that's the start of a new Mars cycle that lasts for 2 years. And the sign that it's in when it starts, which is Aries, is the overtone of the whole cycle, even though Mars will go through all the different signs. So we're still in that major activation time right now of Mars being opposite the sun and now the new moon. And so Mars is the divine masculine energy, and Aries is this fiery warrior, protector type of energy. And so it's really getting lit up right now, while simultaneously it's square here, you can see at a 90 degrees angle from the big three, right? What I've been talking about, or most astrologers have been talking about for the whole year, where Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn are all traveling together. So they're all in this, what we call dynamic aspects, opposite, conjunct, the moon and sun being right together, and square, what I've been calling the big three, right? So it's like, it's, for me, it's like this time that's very lit up of like our intent of what we've been trying to learn this whole entire year, right? This intensity of the pandemic and protesting and the fires and hurricanes, right? There's been so much going on, which has been really represented in that intent of Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn traveling together, of where we're wanting to change the structures and the systems that are not working, or we're being kind of called to do that. Pluto makes it, that's the Saturn piece. Pluto makes it be about like an intensity of feeling, having to go into the underworld, the shadow, to see what's not working and move towards what is working, right? So sometimes we're successful with that, sometimes we're not. This is just the intention. And then Jupiter is like just pouring gas on the fire. It makes everything extra, extra intense, right? Which is exactly what we've been experiencing. I have been feeling that the biggest structure that is not serving any of us, whether we're male or female or moving beyond gender, of like the patriarchy, right? We see that in the things that are getting played out politically. We see it in how things are getting handled around the pandemic. We see it in the racial injustice, right? How we treat the earth, right? On and on. So it's like, I'm kind of been seeing that as like the biggest structure that's needing shifting. And Mars and Aries, the new cycle, is along those lines for me as well, of where we're needing a time to kind of like reinvent the divine masculine, really come into a better alignment with the actual divine masculine. And Aries, right, of being the protector for that, the protector of the new you know, a focus on equality and caring, a protector of the earth, right? These types of things. And so I just think that, you know, everything that's going on today really lights that fact up, especially as we move towards the end of this kind of compressed time around the big three, where like Jupiter's going to come into alignment with Pluto again, exactly. And then it's going to come into alignment with Saturn, exactly. And then they kind of break up and move apart, and we move into next year. So I feel like we're just getting another opportunity to like really double down on how we learned our lessons through the pandemic, which like you turn on the news and it doesn't really look like that so much. But have we done that personally ourselves, our own work? And then I'll just add in, Mercury's retrograde right now, as well as Venus just went into the heart chakra gate. The feminine, the divine feminine is at the heart chakra for the next month. So just things to kind of think about as we move into this darker part of the year, where we're meant to like go into the underworld and look at our shadows and release what's not serving us, and kind of meet with and feel the love of the dark goddess as we move into this dark part of the year. So that's what's going on just today. It's like, it's so big, so much is going on. So before I end the recording and we do the Q&A, I just want to say that the next new moon is a Scorpio new moon, and that's on Saturday, November 14th. And we'll do this again at 4 p.m. Mountain Time, but it's always recorded, of course. The essential oils we'll learn about are vetiver and patchouli, which I think are very Scorpio supporting essences. I have some samples for sale as long as they last. So if you want any of those, just reach out to me. And then you can always get shamanic astrology readings from me, or buy the Wisdom of the Earth essential oils from me at my website, Sheridan.com. So thanks for being here, or being here later. And I'm always here if you have questions.